Hey guys, welcome back to my another YouTube video. And I am probably back after 3 weeks of making my last video on Iran USA war. You are like very much right that plenty of things happened after 3 weeks. Like now we have like so many things to cover up, and I am also very like sorry. And I also first of all want to apologize to all my audiences and to all the members who regularly watches my video that I was like away from my YouTube for like around 3 weeks, and there were some personal and professional reasons also. So let's not go into them. And for example, like after 3 weeks we can say many things on the front of Iran USA war, and in the global affairs many things have happened, and even in our domestic politics also, like a huge and resounding, we can say, a turning point has come out after the Gen Z protest and after the July 20th revolution that kinda took place, and the Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation that followed. So there are multiple things that have followed in both national and international level. So today, after like you have seen, like I have been making videos on international topics about Iran and USA war, the conflict, and where is it going, what is the future of this conflict. And so today, after a very long time, we are gonna talk about our national politics and our domestic policy issues that are like resounding and taking shape at this level, at the national level, and will going to like have a effect and will like impact our generation and the middle class generation for like coming 10 to 15 years. So today you have like, as you have like known and as you have like seen in news for like around like multiple 15 to 20 days, we are going to today talk about the Gen Z protest. So first of all, I am also a Gen Z. I was born in 2004. So by that definition, the people who are in 1997 to 2010, they are the Gen Zs. And so I am also a Gen Z, and I also support this revolution that took place on July 20th. So first of all, let's talk about why this Gen Z revolution that took place at Jantar Mantar was very very different and very very powerful, and why the government, like in its, I was also very much surprised after seeing that after 12 years was the very first time that the government took responsibility, and the minister at such a high level of like education minister Dharmendra Pradhan resigned and like get lost away with this all this, we can say, shitty things and all the thing. So after that, like it was a huge achievement for all the Gen Zs, for people like us who have been supporting this revolution, the protests that have been taking place since the last week of June, and that took place more dramatically after Sonam Wangchuk was forcibly taken away from the Jantar Mantar site to the hospital. And it was like a turning point in which it gave the momentum to the people, and also gave the courage to the protesters to come to Jantar Mantar and express their solidarity, express their anger, frustration with this current oppressive regime. So today we are going to talk about why this Gen Z protest was very much different and very much impactful rather than all those protests that took place in the last 12 years, especially in the current fascist regime. So let's begin. First of all, as you see, this protest like took place 15 years. It was a very big middle class oriented protest that took place at Jantar Mantar after around 15 years of Anna Hazare led Andolan that took place in 2011 under then Congress government against the so-called things of like corruption under the Anna Hazare that like demanded improvement and establishment of ombudsman, the Lokpal bill. And subsequently, as we have seen, on 20th July, the people like protested and marched through the parliament, and like the students, Gen Z, workers, they all like formed a union and were very much able to get to the nearest area of the parliament and into the Lutyens Delhi. And it took place after 14 years. Last time the such movement and such mobilization around the parliament was only around after Nirbhaya incident that took place and shook the consciousness of this country. So it was also a like very proud moment to say that the Gen Zs like took part in this so confident and so powerful protest, and were able to like mobilize such a large scale of people, large scale of students from all around the country, from Jammu and Kashmir to Tamil Nadu, from Gujarat to all other parts of the country, like, and from all diversities, ethnicities, people from Hindu, Muslim, Sikhs, Christians, from all castes, they all took participation in this protest and were able to convey their grievances and their frustration with this regime. So if we like talk about what was different, like Lakshay protest took place also in last coming years. For example, the 2019 anti-CA protest took place, the 2020-21 farmer protest also took place. So like they were also like very much formidable protests that took place. And even in 2021 farmer protest, the government had to roll back the three anti-farmer bill laws that were like termed as black laws for the farmers. Like it was corporatizing and monetizing the entire farming sector, the agricultural land, into the hands of few corporates, and you know which corporates we are talking about. So let's not get into it. So the government was at that time also pressurized to take back the farm bills. So how can you like say that Gen Z protest was more formidable and more impactful than all the protests that were combined and that took place in the last coming few years? So here guys, what is my opinion is that in the protest that I remember few protests that took place under the current regime, because this regime does not allow protests, does not allow the release of frustration, expression by citizens to like project their grievances, to protect their interests, to like talk with the people. And the current government also doesn't believe in like holding accountability, establishing transparency with the people, as the other governments in the previous regimes did. For example, I also remember in 2015 there was a defense minister, the Rajnath Singh, who also said that this government is not a UPA where the resignations took place, and in BJP there are no resignations, right? So it was a kind of very arrogant and very, we can say, a very frustrating argument that was put by our defense minister to like say these types of things, that resignations don't take place. While you know, in a very mature democracies like in Europeans, in America, and other democracies which are like very mature, and we can say they are current and perfectly fine democracies, the resignations are a part to like establish transparency, accountability between the ministers and their work, their performance. In the last 10 years in Britain, there have been 7 prime ministers that have come and gone. Like in 10 years, 7 prime ministers have like changed in Britain. That's the place where you can call democracy. That's the thing you can call democracy, when you can like remove the prime minister, the ministers from their position, like for even like slightest of mistakes, and it like helps to keep the government and the executive in check and balance, and to give the power to in the hands of people, the sovereign, that like rules and guides the destiny of this country. So like getting back to our topic, in the 2019 anti-CA protest that took place, they were also termed as very much anti-national protest, and they were largely and formidably were restricted into the Muslim community only, because they were against the demands of like NRC, the whole complicated issues of like citizenship, of granting citizenship to minorities that were coming from different bordering countries, and like creating discrimination on the basis of community based citizenship. Many Muslims argued in that they are like minorities are being granted citizenship, but what about the persecuted Muslims in the countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and other things? So there was a kind of systematic discrimination institutionalized by the government to give citizenship only to minorities based on Hindu, Sikh, Christian, and all those community status. So first of all, we can say citizenship should be a completely away from the any type of relation with the community based citizenship. Citizenship can be given to any person who like seeks refuge and who have valid reason to like gain political asylum, refuge. And you know, in countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, many Muslims are also persecuted based on their ethnic castes, supreme ethnic lines. For example, the Balochs, the many Muslims in POK, in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, in Bangladesh also Bengali Muslims are not treated with very like superior and not with very much human dignity. But still government made rules that only people from Hindu and the so-called minorities can be given status and citizenship. Another issue was also about NRC, that there would be an unlawful attempt to debar the Muslims from the registration and the citizenship of this country. And instead of like going forward with like inclusive development and inclusive forwardness, the government was very much keen on taking away the powers and the citizenship of the Muslims. So that were the main points under which the anti-CA protest took place. And the government was very much able to like cancel the effect of the citizenship protest that took place in 2019, and like labeled them as mostly concerned about the Muslim areas and Muslim communities. And the Muslims, as you know, are not a constituencies and are not generally a voters of BJP. So it was a very much like we can say a phenomena that were put forward by many policy formalists, policy strategists, that BJP didn't care much about the protests that took place in anti-CA area because they were largely constrained to the Muslims area only and Muslim communities. Now if we go back to the like farmer protests that took place in 2020, 2021, so the farmers that were like protesting, they were also like belonging to a certain community lines that participated actively in the protest. For example, the Jat Sikh Kisans that took part in the farmer protest and were like at the forefront of leadership. They were like generally upper caste Jat Kisans from the Punjab area, from areas like Malwa, Doab, and in areas like Punjab, the BJP doesn't have much organization and doesn't have much popular support among the ruling farmer castes and the land owning farmer castes that are able to like mobilize such level of resources, such level of popular participation against the anti-farmer laws. And you see the other castes that took place very much in the protest were like the Hindu Jats from Haryana, the Western UP, that also like mobilized around the farmer protests and were able to like put forward their demands and get away back with the farmer bills that the Modi had to like repeal the 3 farmer bills. But there was not too much resignation took place. Even like there was a news reports that were coming and now have gained credibility, and more like we can say they are genuine reports that many farmers died in the anti-farmer protests that took place, and there was no committee. Like seriously, there was no committee to like investigate into the deaths of farmers at the border of the Delhi. They were not allowed to come inside the Delhi, protest at Jantar Mantar or march to the parliament. So that was also an important point, that the government was not very much shaken up or didn't care much about the farmer protest. They did try to cancel the effect by taking away the farmer bills so that they can like easily go in the elections that were coming in UP, Punjab, Haryana in the coming years. But yeah, it also didn't shake very much the government. But in this protest, the very much phenomena that like shaked the government at its core was that in this protest there were students, parents, and the Gen Z coming from the influential and affluent urban class, middle class families. As you know, in the BJP, the main voter class and the main core ideology and the main core voter supporter base that supports the BJP is the middle class, urban middle class that supports the BJP. As we have known in the early 1980s, 1990s, when the BJP was not such a formidable force and was not able to get too much electoral successes, so the communities that were like still traditionally supporting the BJP, it included urban middle class, the Baniyas, Brahmans, and these were some castes and some traditional ethnic lines, class lines I can say, that were kind of supporting the BJP from the very beginning after like they had lost the system and lost the support from the Congress system. So it's like a whole different story, like why the Brahmins, Baniyas and middle class moved away from Congress due to its socialist economic policies. It's like we can say left-leaning oriented policies. That's a completely different argument. So yeah, from the like around 40 years, middle class has been a traditional supporter of BJP, and they were like very much scared and very much, we can say, the BJP leadership got the idea that if they're gonna play down these protests as anti-nationals, if they like try to demean the students, if they try to tell that these are not genuine students, so the core base of the BJP, that is the middle class, it will going to shrink away and will move forward from the BJP to other political parties and other political associations that are like forming currently in India. So the BJP took cognizance, and the government, even though you can say it's a very like fascist government and I also don't like it, but yeah, they took a good step by like holding the accountability even in like some manner, and Dharmendra Pradhan had to like resign and get away from his portfolio and from his education ministry. So yeah, it was a first and very like formidable revolution and protest that took place in the last 12 years of modern India history under the current BJP regime. And I very much congratulate all the Gen Zs, all the students for the protest that in which they participated, mobilized, put forward their opinions, their grievances in such a strong manner, and also like faced the public and the police humilities, violence from the police on 20th July protest, as we have seen how police were beating up the students, pellet guns were fired upon the students, and many students were like taken off in custody. And after the finishing of protest, when the CGP and government reached a conclusion, even then many multiple FIRs in states like Bihar, Bengal, Assam were filed initially, but later have to be like withdrawn after the CGP protest. So that's a very big win for all the people, and I also want to congratulate the parents also that like supported their children and gave a participation in the protest with the students and became a part of the Gen Z struggle and their voice in putting forward against the corrupt and destroyed education system of this country. And I hope the kind of spirit and the protest took place in future also. And I can say that Gen Z is a new generation that doesn't believe in subordination or like believing in taking orders and getting with settlements. Okay, jo hota hai hone do. This is the new generation that has to like take the responsibility for this country and to safeguard it from the fascists and to uphold the constitutional values like dignity, secularism, equality, justice. All these policies and all these ideas are not mere ideas and ideologies. They are a soul of our country and they need to be protected and cherished by our well beloved Gen Z groups. Thank you everyone.